2000 saw the release of two Fallout games, one of which leaned heavy into the Wild West trappings inherent in its setting, and the other was green. Original, I know. But what if you decided to try and force the cowboy aesthetic on Fallout 3? Can you beat Fallout 3 as a cowboy? So what exactly counts as being Fallout 3 as a cowboy? It means I can only use weapons that would be cowboy appropriate, which is something that we can cheat off of New Vegas' cowboy perk to determine. The cowboy perk description states that it gives 25% increased damage when using revolvers, lever action weapons, dynamite, knives, or hatchets. Translated to Fallout 3's arsenal, this leaves me with combat knives and axes for melee, both 32 and 44 Magnum revolvers, the BB gun, Lincoln's repeater, and the non-unique point lookout lever action rifles, and the double barrel shotguns, fully erect and chode versions. I'm also forcing myself to collect every unique cowboy weapon in order to relive the experience of 100%ing Red Dead Redemption 2. When it comes to armor, I can only wear the regulator duster or any unique variants, and any sort of wide-brimmed hat. With all that out of the way, let's begin. Starting at the very beginning, you might have expected me to make my character look like Arthur Morgan on account of the thumbnail. But, since Bethesda is homophobic and won't give bisexuals the 10% damage bonus to everyone that they rightfully deserve, I decided to play as a woman to make up for my lack of early game damage. That's right, this transition's tactical, baby. Say hello to Arthur Morgan. Since the BB gun counts for the challenge, killing the roach is actually well within the rules of the run for once, as is killing everyone else with the BB gun during the escape. It turns out, if you give Butch the BB gun, he'll kill all the roaches attacking his mom and anyone who's hostile to you, including Officer Kendall. I guess the Tunnel Snakes have some legit street cred now, especially since Butch landed all those kills using only 5 BBs. Must have only aimed for their eyes. Between Butch's BB gun marksmanship and Amato holding onto the 10mm, I was able to get through the vault without directly harming anyone. Of course, I only did that because Fallout 3 wiped all my saves for some reason, and I wanted a clean 101 run through for future use. I made sure to go back through and clean up after myself, though. Don't worry. First stop of the run was Megaton, where I'd have to pick up my laundry from Sims. The easiest way to do this is to take the fusion pulse charge from Burke and then immediately narc on him. He'll resist arrest and send another little piggy to market. After pumping my last steaming hot load of BBs into Burke via a few well-placed sneak attacks, I donned my armor, and it's not great. At most, it provides around 5 damage resistance, but seeing as how it can only be repaired by merchants, it'll likely hang around 3 damage resistance. Still, it's better than going pussy out, and the hat's nice. Finally clothed, I sprung over to Springvale to nab some weapons. The kitchen in the school has a combat knife stuck in a mole rat, and you can borrow a 32 from some of the resident raiders. There was another thing to note here, a book of sheet music. You get it? Note, musical notes. Oh, come on! The last bit of business here in Springvale was to say hi-ho Silver and ransack her crack shack. With my basics covered,
I got a plan, John.
To start, I'll need to head northeast to the Bethesda ruins. On the way, I pass by my rusty train yard and... Huh. I wonder if that means anything.
Foreshadowing is a narrative device.
Passing through the Bethesda ruins, I nabbed Stab Happy from the raid shack next door. From there, I went north to Canterbury Commons. I wasn't planning on doing the Superhuman Gambit, but old Uncle Ro put a bounty out on both of them. And they were still bickering in the street, so it'd be rude to pass up such an opportunity, you know? At first, I headed a little too far north and got a bit too close to Old Oni, but I was able to reach my destination without much issue, Vault 92. The bugs in the first few floors aren't too hard to deal with, but once you hit the aquatic bugs deeper in, then things get a little tough. If I get high as hell, I can use Stab Happy to take the regular Mirelurks out in one VATS flurry. I wasn't planning on dealing with hunters this early on. Given what I know about level scaling in these games, I thought I wouldn't have to worry about them. But I was able to push through them and get my hands on the soul, the soil.
Hello there, I'm Michael Giblin with FiddlerShop.com. I've got another special on an instrument. I have a Holstein Workshop Swal Stradivarius. Swal Stradivarius.
It's a fucking fiddle! Delivering the fancy fiddle and the book of sheet music I got from Springvale to Old Lady Granderlin next to Moresty netted me Blackhawk, which is easily one of the best weapons in the game, no matter how goofy I think the scope is. I know it's a Mad Max reference, but I still just don't like it. Though this early on in the run, 44 Magnum ammo is going to be really rare, so I'm going to have to use it sparingly.
Whoa, is that blackface, dude?
No, this isn't blackface. I'm an actual
Next on the agenda was to head over to the Pitt. Wild Bill's sidearm is a reasonably powerful 32, and by reasonably powerful I mean that the shots that land don't feel like topical headache remedies, and having free use of the ammo press this early on saves me a lot of money for 44 rounds. I spent way too long here, mostly because I grabbed all 100 steel ingots. I can't even use any of the rewards, I just did it out of habit. When it came time to choose, it was clear who to side with. Werner proposed a heist, while Asher had offered me a bounty. Should be clear which of those is more appealing to a cowboy, and I did not have the supplies to take on the slavers. After fanning a cylinder's worth of rounds in Medea's ass, and landing a quick draw right between Werner's eyes... Oh, right, next? To his eye? Given that Given that I had been buying up as much ammo as possible up until this point, gaining access to the ammo press was a godsend. I split the production between 32 and shotgun shells, and made a bunch of 44 for later. You might be wondering why I don't main Blackhawk at this point, and to that I say, I don't know. Finally back south of the Mason-Dixon line, I decided to further bolster my arsenal by heading down to Girdershade. Sitting through Sierra's mind-numbing Nuka info dumping lets me send Ronald McLarnold, Girdershade's resident coomer, on a suicide mission, allowing me to pilfer
the kneecapper
from his corpse without wasting any of my ammo. It's an improvement, but it still feels like I'm sneezing at the enemies with any sawed-offs. I figured now was a good time to pick up the main quest. I tried to make my way to GNR without following the main quest route, but I got really lost. On the bright side, I ran into a group of regulators who were more than happy to donate their used clothes to me. Standard Duster is a marked improvement over the Sheriff's Duster, at double the damage resistance and not having to rely on merchants for repairs. It took a little bit, but eventually I got back on track and made it to the mall, and it was time for some sightseeing. First stop of the tour was the Museum of History, where I channeled my inner Nurbit and nabbed Lincoln's repeater and his hat. Don't try to tell me Abe Lincoln's own hat isn't period accurate to the Wild West. I put the repeater to work almost instantly between the Museum of Technology and the National Archives, and finally, I made my way to the top of the Washington Monument to be Three Dogs Cable Guy. And then... Mothership Zeta. Ugh. So after getting probed, I'm put in a cell with Frictional Games' best work. After admitting that I may have paranoid schizophrenia...
Okay. So does that mean you're in?
Our harebrained scheme goes into effect. It takes quite a bit of trial and error, since I refuse to throw hands at the little green men, and ultimately I have to bait the aliens while Soma tickles them to death. Luckily, Bethesda is deathly afraid of inconveniencing the player, so you get your gear back almost immediately. After giving everyone in cryo the Wakey Wakey Eggs and Bakey special, The unfortunate spaceman must have smelled burnt toast because he dropped dead as soon as he thawed out. From here, we have to destroy the generators and 3 wings of the ship for... reasons? I don't know. I decided that the hangar would be the first stop. Side by side with Paulson, we made like Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid and held out atop the hangar.
I'll bury every last one of you. If I go, you're coming with me.
Except we didn't die. After destroying the generator, I found myself face to face with Paulson. A man at a time, he had nothing left. A dead man walking. There was no happy ending for him back on Earth. The least I could do was to give him a good death here, among the stars. After totally, honorably wasting Paulson in that duel, I took his clothes and his gun. While his clothes are worse in DR than the regulator duster, he's got a pretty snazzy hat, and his revolver is insane. It's an unscoped .44 that acts like a hyper-accurate shotgun. Now, from what I know about how the Gamebryo engine games work, each pellet has a chance to crit on their own, meaning that while it may be slightly weaker than Blackhawk on paper, as long as at least a few pellets crit, the damage output is godly. Nothing much happens after this. The friend of mine I mentioned to Soma showed up to bust a cap in the captain near the end, though. It was the only time he did so in the entire DLC. Back on Terra Firma, I sold Sonora Cruz a bag of severed fingers, stole the Perception bobblehead from the Republic of Dave, and started Blood Ties. Given the constant references to Red Dead Redemption 2, wiping out a gang of subterranean, likely incestuous, cannibal freaks feels fairly on brand. The game has the audacity to dock karma for killing a group of slightly more refined cannibals. I made sure to stake Vance once he was down, though. Only way to make sure he doesn't come back, right? I peeled his long coat off of his giblets when I was done. His long coat is easily the best set of armor for the entire run, at the same amount of damage resistance as a normal regulator duster, with increased stat bonuses. Keeping up the streak of killing freaky cousin fuckers, it was time to head even further south. Helping Desmond with his game of tower defense was quite a blessing, netting me a lever-action rifle, which I never used, a full-length double-barrel shotgun, which I got plenty of use out of, and an axe. It's sad that there's no unique double barrels, but even without a special version, the standard double barrel wipes the floor with
The kneecapper.
As for the axe, New Vegas qualifies hatchets as a cowboy weapon, and what is an axe if not a fully grown hatchet? Or is a hatchet an axe with dwarfism? In the meantime, I peeked behind the velvet curtain and grabbed the backwater rifle. As much as I love this gun, and had been stashing 10mm ammo for it, I ended up never using it. With my newfound paperweight, I sent Jackson to the astral plane and hit a Plix Safari. A quick storming of the bunker to kill the Calvert, and my time at Point Lookout was almost at close. I just had one last loose end.
Give Tobar my love, preferably with the sharp end of a hot knife.
Back in DC, I stopped by Smith Casey's to hit Braun with the gnome, the cinderblock, pitch, radio pitcher, radio pitcher, cinderblock, radio pitcher, gnome pitcher, cinderblock, pitch, fuck, radio pitcher, gnome pitcher, cinderblock, gnome, bottle combo, and freed James from his whack-ass doggy prison. Keeping with the simulation theming, I hit the Outcast outpost and started Fallout of Duty. Hell no! I cheated my way into the reward room for the trench knife. Back on with the main quest, and things are gonna go pretty quick from here. After the Enclave's seizure of Project Purity, I safely and efficiently escorted the scientists to the Pentagon, where I was then sent on even more bitch work. I stopped by Little Lamplight where, you guessed it, more bitch work. Although, I was able to let out my frustrations on some people who absolutely deserved it.
Some jobs ain't for saving. And some legacies,
Oh,
they are for pissing
what
on.
are you doing?
In exchange, the kids let me sneak into Vault 87 via the reactor entrance and get some mean quick draw practice on the muties within. I grabbed Fox's ass, Fox grabs the Gex ass, and Colonel Autumn grabs me. Hopefully, not by my ass. I'm unconscious. That's not cool, man. I broke a few eggs in Raven Rock, including Anna Holt, finishing off all the Project Purity staff I could. For now. I returned to the Pentagon, broke the news to Lions, refused to free Gimpsuit, and blew Autumn away in Project Purity. Normally, I'd end it here, but there is one thing that I need to go through Broken Steel for. So after Prime got pounded, I stole a train headed for Adams Air Force Base.
Should I just sneak on now? God damn it.
On the base, I fought through the flight line, up the ATC tower, and made a mad dash for the crawler. I renamed Sigma Squad to the Beta Bunch. And stole Callahan's Magnum, hitting 100% Cowboy and proving that, wait, I had to go to Fort Bannister to get Occam's Razor. But now, I have hit 100% Cowboyism and proved that yes, you can beat Fallout 3 as a cowboy. Thank you for watching. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, unsubscribe if you subscribed, resubscribe if you just unsubscribed, and feel free to stick around for more challenge runs. Bye! Also, happy birthday, Lex.